Hey guys, Austin Maliolo here in the Ham Studio, breaking down another talking point for coaches on how we can properly implement programming. Today we're going to talk about when to scale reps and when to scale load and why. So, very challenging question here, and there's going to be there's no one right answer, but there are best practices we can start to think about. Now, let's take the workout that we've been discussing in some of these theme videos here. Hammer drill. We have a 400-meter run followed by 30 hang power cleans at 185 pounds or 125 for men and women, an 800-meter run, 30 push jerks at the same load, and then finish with a 400-meter run. When will we scale repetitions on this? A few things here. One, if we're struggling to find the right weight, if we're not necessarily sure, right, if things look good in the warm-up, but we know that the stamina of the athlete might not be there, well, we can always say to an athlete as a caveat, maybe we think they can do it at X weight, okay? But we're not sure, and there's a little question, but you think that they should start there. We can always say, okay, well, we know we have 30 repetitions, but after that run and as we get into it, let's reevaluate at 15. Maybe, and what we mean by that is maybe we're going to have you only do 20 reps or 25, right? And the reason being is that if they're moving well through that, we're just seeing they're taking longer breaks, they're not where we need to be. Maybe now is the time, hey, we're going to cut you at 20. And leaving it for that first round or within the workout does give you that wiggle room to assess on the fly with what's happening. But having that discussion with the athlete beforehand is really important so they know what's coming. It also empowers that intermediary athlete that might really be struggling with some scaling options, or they really might want to go prescribed or go a little heavier, right? So for those athletes, if you know it's a little too heavy for them off the bat, then cut the reps off for them anyway, right? You say, hey guys, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go at this X weight. But 30 is going to be too long. It's going to take you too long. I want you to stick with the stimulus. So we're going to do 20 reps. Now, what you want to avoid, there's got to be a low marker in your head. I don't want to go lower than, say, 15 reps. And that's going to probably be important. If you're cutting more than 50% of the repetitions, it's probably too many reps and or too heavy. So again, for this, probably cutting off 10 puts you where you need to be. If you're going less than 20, we might want to be mindful that now it might become a different workout and they might end up going too fast. Or they're just going to be in a different stratosphere to the rest of the class. So you want to be mindful and respectful of that as well. You also want to work out like this can play with, hey, I want you to do 30 reps of the hang power clean and then 20 reps of that push jerk. Just because we know that push jerk's going to be a little harder, but I think working that heavier load is going to be helpful for you today, whether it's going to be a physical or a psychological win today. As long as they're moving safe, that's important. But again, we don't need to over-volumize them, or if they rest too long, we want to avoid that to keep them with the class and the stimulus. Now, loading is, and now again, when do we scale load? It's really for the same concept there. So we might be in the same concept of scaling load and reps for some athlete. But if we want to scale load for athletes, we want to make sure that they just are staying on the stimulus, what we're looking for. If they cannot get more than X amount of reps unbroken. So for today, on the heavier end of a moderate barbell, we want to say, if you can't get 15 unbroken, then maybe we want to scale. We're not going to make them do 15 unbroken, but that's what we're thinking. So right away, boom, that means we're going to start to scale load. But this highlights the imperative aspect of you need to ask this question and answer this question during the loading phase of the workout. There's got to be time. And with these complex movements and at a load like this at the higher end of moderate, we probably need at least 10 minutes to get our athletes there. Now, your more advanced athletes are going to move through a little faster, and that's okay. Maybe they can lift a little heavier, they can get more practice in, but for your newer athletes, or even ones that are unsure, they're going to need more time to figure out what the right weight is, and you can then figure out, hey, am I going to scale your load down? Because, you know what, I want to make sure you have the 30 repetitions. I want to make sure that we can do those X amount of repetitions properly from a mechanics perspective, but also that we're not resting too long in between reps. Or are we going to switch up the loading, or the repetitions, to then up the loading a little bit to give you that win either physically or psychologically. It depends on your weaknesses and assessment as well. So again, how we put this into the lesson plans is really important, but these are the thought processes, and be fully transparent with your athletes on this as well. Newer athletes, we're most likely just going to be scaling load first before repetitions. It's the intermediary athletes to the advanced athletes that we might start to play with the reps, which will then allow us to give them maybe that win that they've been looking for. This is important for those athletes that are coming for a while. You might think they're a little bit stagnant. So keep an eye on them as well during that loading phase to help them out. And you can always have one-on-one conversations if there's only 1 or 2 people that might fit that bill, so the whole class doesn't need to know that's even an option. So work hard and have fun with this stuff.